there it goes. Hey, it is Saturday night, 7 o'clock, Boogie with the Bull. Real people, real talk. And if you're real, I hope you're watching. We're live on the Dave Wilton profile on Facebook, and we are live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. If there are live chats there, you can come join us and tell us what real people and real talk is to you. Good evening, Michael.
Hey, what's up?
What would you like to get real about today? I'm leaving it up to you and anybody else that comes in.
Well, I'm willing to talk about anything you want to talk about. I don't care.
Okay. How is the water situation? Has that moved along, or is it still wherever it is, and it's either fixed according to
It's
them
better, but
or
it's
not?
not done.
Okay. Do
Yeah,
they
it's better,
know?
but it's not done.
Do they know when it will be done?
No, I don't have a complete, confirmation of date, but they did bring out a big machine to help heat the line so it doesn't freeze anymore. And
Good.
basically, they wrap it. Not the best job, but it is working. Maybe they
Okay.
know more about that technology than I do.
Yeah.
But so far, I'm good. Tonight, we're going to go into sub zero. So I don't know how it's going to hold up, but it's been running out there off a diesel generator and motor for the past 36 hours.
Okay, so we have to hope that because it's going to be cold, that somebody has the job of making sure there's diesel in that tank.
Correct. That's
Good.
on them, but I mean,
No, no,
200
no.
gallons
I
should
know.
be enough to run two
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah, yeah. Good. Well, we're moving along on that. And I said to you a minute ago in the green room, it's just get real about what people actually think is real important to them. And like I said, today is our youngest grandson's fourth birthday, and we got to talk to him, and it was great. It really was. I mean, it
Good.
would have been better if we were there watching him, but unfortunately, that couldn't happen. And our oldest grandson is now a second degree black belt, and um, everybody was glad that everybody was there today to see it. And to me, that's kind of what life is about right now because politics is just a game. And I don't know, you know, I don't know what we're doing at 1 minute, what the other side is doing at 1 minute. And maybe there's just more important things to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, most of America's starting to agree with that theory of thought, and they should. Uh,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of prime examples of where America is going versus how the announcements of the first day when Donald Trump was inaugurated to, step in and gave a great speech and said, we're going to, basically take America back and give it to the people for the people. And, not everybody's agreeing with just certain ends of it. Doesn't mean
Right.
anybody's less mega. I want to make sure I'm clear because there is sometimes a voice out there who screams at everybody about that we're traitors. And we're not traitors.
We're not.
We all have the right to question whatever we feel we need to question when there's doubt on the surface.
Yep.
And that's all people are doing. But, you sometimes have this guy on, and I'm really getting
Okay.
agitated with him because I know more about him than he thinks I do. And I can
Okay.
make him look like a pile of, and I really could.
Okay.
But the point is this, everybody has their right to interpretate something
Right.
as how they understand it. And nobody should be challenged about that. See, when the left side says it, it's bad. When the right side says it's good, and when the right, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's this crazy divide, Dave. That's just where it is, and it needs to stop. People need to come to their own conclusions and let them think the way they need to. And while this
Yep.
happens, any side that is in the power will make changes and elements to buy back the vote, buy back the prestige, buy back the popularity. And we saw how that worked. When and it doesn't matter who, but when we see somebody running for a position of power, such as the presidency, there is a political persuasive narrative as to how that works. including sometimes they will use things that gains them more of a political clout in the scenario of the election. And how many did we see for all those years coming at us for, through many presidents? At this point, we've seen a lot of them. And to me, that's a political opportunist, someone that takes the gravity of a situation to persuade people that they will do a better job. And it's, hey, maybe they will. Maybe not enough has happened yet. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that need recognized for needing help, and it needs to be done yesterday, and it hasn't.
Yes, yes. And as far as president goes, there are, I mean, now we go into history that you and I have discussed before, and you discussed before, but George Bush Jr., because George Sr. is floating in the clouds, but George wants to come back and take over the GOP after the Trump presidency because he doesn't think it's what it should be. So, what do we do there? I mean, everybody wants to change back where it was before everybody else. And sometimes that's for the better, but sometimes it's just, excuse my English, a load of crap.
Well, if he could keep the glass of bourbon down on the desk more than up to his mouth, he'd probably maybe then I could say I would agree with him. But I would say he would be a third term useless piece of shit. And that's just the way I look at it, as to who he is, what his father was, who his grandparents were.
Yep. Now, on the other side, you have the Republic groups that say under their Constitution, which goes back and predates the Constitution that we're on now, that legally Trump would be able to run because FDR didn't come along and say, no, 2 terms is all you're going to get. And he served 4. So, it's going to be very interesting. Plus, you hear the concept that Trump could be Speaker of the House and become vice president, and then become president, or become vice president and then become president because he's not elected. Everybody wants to argue all about that, and it just seems a hell of a lot of manufactured engagement trying to get your algorithm to engage, and that's about all I can see.
Well, it's the same as Christmas. It's an emotional management. And if you do that, which the political opportunists use every narrative, you can come to that. Now, the easiest way would be the same way that Zelensky did it in Ukraine. And if you have a time of war or an article of a problem, you could then, in an easier method of way, kind of push the election off. We haven't seen anything like that to come. It doesn't look like it may, but it could possibly do it because we are out making enemies right now to try to cure the problems that come to America. So you have the waters, and I always said, watch the waters, but everybody's always said it. It doesn't matter what I said. But the point is, watch the waters and see what happens out there, as well as the land. Watch the threat of the borders. Now, we got one border wall, but they're still coming through the upper side. They're still coming through the north. And if you can't contain it all, you're not going to have the same. How do you cure the core of the problem? You don't. So we're going to have these people in here that want to harm us. And that would be, I would think, the lifesaver. And I'm not talking about the role of the lifesavers, the ones we used to use these kids. I'm talking about the lifesaver to keep him in, the presidential chair. But, a lot of people don't know this. And this is a true fact. And I challenge anybody to challenge anything I'm saying in the next minute about this. Believe it or not, the mechanism of the mechanics of the political thing that was going on when Trump was, coming back into the arena, to announce his candidacy for president, they were already, the monies of the world were already back in DeSantis. They were actually behind DeSantis to come in. They didn't want Trump back. Now, a lot of people
They
may
did
say
not.
I'm totally wrong on that. Trump said, Trump said, I have a narrative, I have a way. And he collected patriotism by harm.
Hmm.
Patriotism by harm is letting the establishment attack you to gain a better prestige for an election, to make you a stronger person, as if you're being picked on, you're being bullied, and so forth, like that. And that's why we're seeing a lot of the outcomes that we're seeing now as they are and for who they are, because, like anything, you don't become president in this country because people actually vote for you alone on its own merit. It comes from money and people backing you and things like that. So you can travel and burn all the fuel and go to all these places and talk to everybody. It comes at a cost, and people always incur cost, but there's always something that's wanted back, and that'll never change either. We saw it through all the politics, and all the campaigns over the years. People utilize that strategically for a purpose, a reason and a purpose, is because it works. And people forget what's working for them while the whole thing's really going on. It's dramatized, it's theatrical. It's just like Christmas. What's it all
Yep.
about? What's the
Do
true
you
meaning, Charlie Brown?
do you
People
do
need to
you?
look at that objective. The
Yeah.
same as when people say this, and they believe in Q, and they believe in all QAnon and all these things. Well, what is the true meaning behind everything of it? And that's what they really need to investigate and to look into to understand it, because
Okay.
it's not the thing that you think it is. It never is. It never will be.
I want to bring in one person, and is a legit person on our side. I don't think you'll have any problem with him if you don't mind. But I always ask because I did say, hey, it's your hour if you want the hour with you and I, or I can bring. You
It
know,
don't matter. Nobody listens to any of us anymore anyway, Dave. You know that. So whatever, whatever.
all right, Derek, if you want, I just sent you the link, and if you want to join us, you are more than welcome. Uh, but otherwise, we'll go on. People listen, but I notice in my particular case, people don't seem to listen when it's live. They listen when it is convenient for them to listen. Because, like I said, we did a show last night on restoring the republic, and we were lucky if maybe 5 people were watching us live. And
Yeah, it's
I
a
woke up.
disgrace.
I woke up this morning and it was 228 people watched. So
Well, 228 people may have looked in for 3 minutes, and that
right,
counts as a view.
right,
So we don't know who watches. Dave, I used to get thousands, and you know that. But the truth of the matter is, if 1% of the thousands that I got actually listened, that was probably the end result of it. Meaning that, like, the other 9,000 out of 10 really just came across it, may have gave it a thumbs up. Oh, I know who they are. I know what they talk about, thumbs up. But they don't really listen to the content of the show. They don't listen to the theory, the opinion, or whatever facts have been researched to bring them out.
yeah.
But that's just how the channeling works, and that's why I started to say something. I think I got off on a different, on my own fault, not by anybody
No,
else's. But
go on. Bring
when
up
you have
anything you want.
people, well, Dave, when you have people that swear that all these people were dead, you know, then maybe that's
Well,
why. Let's just say maybe then that's why nobody's being charged for any criminal allegations, because as many believe, and I mean a high percentage of the 80 million believe that these people have already been gitmoed, and I can assure you
well,
that has not been the case. But
the
again, if you theorize that around that, um, that's just another problem that we live within, because people were lost. Like, how do you charge a criminal when they are already dead? If they are already dead, is it to protect the dead, or maybe they should charge the actors as the
oh,
criminals?
well, that's what I is confusing to me because like there's one I watched one day and everybody either was put to death or is at Gitmo serving life. Now, obviously, you can't ask Gitmo if this person is there alive or if this person was executed. But to me, the stupid thing is if you executed the real person already, why are we seeing people wearing masks? Because and then what do you do? Like you just said, what do you do with people wearing the mask when they find out, or everybody finds out that the actual person was gone?
Well, I think in ways it's an illusionary concept, because they let you see these things. Because what does that do? It creates more cognitive dissonance. They want you to talk about all the other things, not the important factors that we have had addressed going into the election, last year.
Right.
And that's where people need to they need to reconstruct themselves to get refocused about that, and take all these heavy duty conspiracies and lay them to rest. And they're the only ones that can do that, because if they don't do that, then the shit show will go on and we'll have a resolution to it. It's when we concentrate our focusing and we keep asking the more brilliant questions and sending them to the White House for all the people to see and all the people to know where we stand, what we stand for, and what we want to know about, as well as how we want to be taken care of. If we don't address these more important facts, it's we're gonna destroy our own selves from within.
We are. I think we've already done that, or we're being led that way. I mean, if people aren't dead, meaning they are no longer alive, are the ships from Close Encounters of the Third Kind going to line up and land, and all of a sudden, all of these people are going to come back? And that alone is a fascinating thought because you don't recover from someone dying. You just accept it and deal with it. And in a few days, we celebrate the 6th anniversary of my father's passing. And if I could, I would trade it so that he was still here. You know,
Yeah, I
uh,
get that. I get that. But to further into the discussion, trying to stay focused, and I do, with all respect, feel terrible about
yeah,
your loss, and we all go through them in life, and none of us can change
right.
any of it. But um, a point that I think is necessary to make to people is, when is it okay to criticize? And I know there's a lot of things we can all criticize from both sides against each other, but it really does depend upon who is in charge
Yep.
or who has something to gain from it. You can take the Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, and all those people that are making these comments saying that there truly isn't no help coming, and they're a traitor. Now, they weren't suggesting it, I don't think, and from what I understood of the conversations and some of the interviews, that they were directly attacking anything about everything. They
Yep.
were merely suggesting that people were screaming for a little bit more help and not getting it. Maybe the words came out a little bit ruffled, or used in a way where people could twist them, and that's normally what happens, and why it blows up and why people start calling people traitors. But I think only one resigns because as they said, and I think another one's going to be coming to the plate in the same format of design, where that's going to happen to somebody else coming forth soon too. It's all because of how and what they are able to achieve in a position they're in. And when they can no longer do anything for the people that they collected the votes for, and the ones that they supported to get into the power places of power and position, then they have to, thread back and say, oh my God, my own constituents and my own counties and my own city, state, were screaming at me like, what the hell was going on? And you run into these things, and then the criticizing starts to come at a flow. So when is it okay? And I'm going to say this with all clarity that I can, the way I see it. It all depends upon who's in charge. Why do I say that? When we were called garbage, Trump went out and drove a garbage truck. When it came to food and eating bad food, McDonald's and human content, then Trump worked inside McDonald's. And
Right.
look, so it all comes out, sometimes not within words all the time, but within actions. So it all depends upon who's in charge of the narrative and how they want to direct it. and it's keeping and collecting patriotism. If you can establish how strong you can collect that data, you collect all the votes. And that's truly what we watched. So one must question then, when we know if you truly follow somebody, you can't put this together. And there's 100 different
Yeah.
aspects of what we saw happen. Then you might want to start questioning all the things that we thought happened.
There's a lot. And the number one question that hits me right now is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an independent who is a Democrat, or a Democrat who claims I don't know, but he's in a Republican administration. Explain that one to me. How does that happen?
Yeah, well, again, everything has every book has a different cover page,
Yep.
and there's a different circumstance or criteria. We hear a lot of stories from inside, outside witnesses, whistleblowers, and
Yeah.
family members. And what happened to Bobby? I mean, let's
Yep.
not forget, because it happened to one, it didn't happen to another. They were dismantling. What happened to JFK? What happened to his children? There's things going on there. David Quigley. I mean, could this all be true? Stolen Identities and his other two
Yeah.
books. He has some very fascinating things and original pictures that suggest he is somebody that nobody wants to acknowledge. And what happened to the Onassis fortune? Who was in charge of that? Our president.
Yeah.
Our president. So, I mean, there are things going on out here in the world that are just so big and are so unusual.
Right.
All we can do is try to justify things the best we can, because it went from a quart size to a gallon size jug of a can of worms, the big,
Yeah.
the big box, I don't know. And people were just lost over the circumstances, and now fight with each other and within our own MAGA.
And I'm getting tired of seeing MAGA stuck on everything, so that
Don't you think that's all the plan? The construct?
Well, it's weird. It's like seeing it on a karate club today, seeing it on a store. America either is great and just needs to reaffirm that in everybody's head, or we're not. We're probably not going to be. And in some questions, I wonder, are we great? I mean, is the right way to kill the guys on the drug boats that are on their way in? Some say yes, some say no. Is the right thing to do clean up Minnesota and move people out of a corner of Minnesota, or send them home?
Well, hasn't our government always went into the battlefield against things that they could not control?
Yes.
And yet we hear, when we look at the history, we learn, we focus on it, that our own government was more responsible for the drugs coming in, the guns coming in, the other types of things coming in.
Yep.
So again, it's like a villain against a villain. We will channel how we want things determined. And that's always how it works. Instead of us minding our own business, keeping our own money in our own pockets, and letting people deal with their own problems, block our waters, block our borders, and have peace within our own country.
Yep.
Instead of getting involved in everybody else's damn business. These are the same things that need cured, but yet now we're in a country with gold card products saying we'll take anybody from any country as long as you got money to invest into America. And if you have money to invest in America, guess who the American people are going to be working for? They're going to be working for the nationalists, independent corporations, and the rich and powerful from other countries that we will become indoctrinated through. This is all a plan into the future of everything, and they're going to develop it on many levels with many different types of things that everybody already knows and heard about. And everything plays a part, from the chemtrails all the way down to the C-40s. So it doesn't matter. You've seen all the problems that have happened. I mean, everybody has seen them. But what real realities of correction have occurred? Even when Comey was, and what was it, Fannie Willis or whatever her name was, that were indicted. They had to be released of all charges because the paperwork was not filed properly. How does somebody named in position, make such a critical error? It's because it's a delay of reaction. Delay of reaction is another method to keep things quiet, hopefully hoping that you shut your mouth about it and forget about it. And some people will. So if you have 100% margin and 15% about that, what are the other 15% being forgotten about across the board as well? It weakens the whole shadow of the platform. And that's why it becomes the dark shadow box and the blacklist box. Because they know how to manage and maintain us. They've been doing it for so long, and they're doing it right now. They're just doing it under a different alliance of people with different interests than the last ones. So again, then it goes back to, when is it okay to criticize? When you have to defend yourself, it's not okay to criticize. But this is what happens. That's how they fight the battles on the battlefields within psychological warfare.
Right. But like I said before, manufactured engagement. Facebook can put something together on any view they want you to believe and send it out. But if you say it, you can be arrested and thrown in jail.
Exactly. How American is that?
It's not, because you have Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York right now, who lives in New Jersey. And we proved that she lives in New Jersey. And if you were the Attorney General and you lived in New Jersey, you'd be in jail. Or I'd be in jail if I was. This don't do what I do what I tell you to do, but don't get mad if I do it. These politicians are out of control. The judges are out of control.
The whole court's out of control, just like the movie.
Trump didn't get any time in jail, I'm sure, because Judge Merchan didn't want to be responsible for I don't know if you want to call it a civil war or riots or whatever that would have taken place if he had actually sent him to jail. But his deal with Democrats, I'm sure, was, you just got to give us 34 felony convictions because we want him gone. I cannot understand why a group of people has spent so much time that that's the only thing they care about. They talk big about everything else, but that's the only thing they care about. They didn't want him to win in 2016, and they manufactured his win. They didn't want him to win in 2020, and they were 2024. They made sure he lost, so it gave him more time to work on winning. And in 2024, he won.
Right.
Do we owe him?
And they knew he'd be like a stick of dynamite. And they told Hillary Clinton, they told Obama, he's going to say things that's going to embarrass you to hell and back, but you're going to have to suck it up and take it because we own you.
Yeah.
And that's how they narrate around all this bullshit, Dave. That's exactly how. Same with the balance of the economy. There is no balancing of the economy. It seems like there are things, and now people are saying, well, our fuel costs are down, but not everywhere. I'm still over $3 a gallon. I see people in the twos, and certain better things and betterments will happen. But every time we get a little something of the breadcrumbs falling from the magical sky program, then it comes back to the same thing all over again. 3 other things will go up, all your utilities. So while you're getting a little bit from Social Security, your health care goes through the roof.
Yeah.
The increase on your health care through Social Security goes up. It goes up more than you got back to even give you some type of level of playing field to survive in this world that we live within. And it goes even bigger in other places, because when you have to pay $40 to $50 more across the board for every utility company, and maybe that's not the entirety of the case of truth on number, look at your own bill, figure it out. You'll see what I'm saying, because it's all starting to happen. They come back and they put more on us to keep us dumbed down and worse off than we ever could be. What we need to happen, I don't see will happen. I see that there are things that come to light that don't benefit anybody now, but as a promissory note, like when you say we're going to give a bank account to every child. Okay. Okay, great. You're going to give them a book right now. What does that mean for anybody? Well, it's going to have to collect for years in value in order to become anything.
Right.
So what are you really getting now? You're giving them
Well,
something that sounds fantastic, but it has no reality to it at this moment. We
you're
need things that have a reality check in this moment to give something back to
well,
people that are under a certain number of data
well,
of money that deserve some help. And that's the biggest issue. And some of the most important voters that Trump got were the people of poverty,
right.
the people of color.
The people that have wealth jump into this too. I think the last name is Hill, isn't it? The man and woman that donated billions to make that that account that your children are going to get $1,000 in. So they wrote a check to somebody for billions of dollars now that you're not going to see until you're 18 years old. So is bad money chasing bad money, or is good money chasing good money?
Well, it all depends. If the ship never sinks, there could be a very shiny day in the future for some of the young American children.
Yep.
Okay. But if something is to happen in a negative way, then you can kiss that all goodbye. And they will probably be the ones responsible for making that happen also. So
Yep.
they can give it and they can take it away.
Yep. Or their plan is to give it, and then in 18 years it won't be there. They'll take it away, like you
Yeah, but again, and I love the fact that they're looking into the future for the children. But how do you look into the well-being of the aged, and the
said.
seniors and the
Right.
disabled and the vets?
Right.
I mean, it's true. I mean, when you look at it that way, how many, when you go across America, illegal homeless do you see versus homeless Americans?
I see a lot of homeless people, but it's a double-edged sword because some of it is people that just decided they had to get away from being a homeowner, and
Everything we're talking about, yes.
yeah, they just decided that their life had to be more simpler. And it's like I know a person, I believe she's passed now, who used to collect bottles and cans out of people's yards that would let her collect them, and we all thought that she needed it to survive. And the funny thing about it is, she just one day walked out of her mansion and said to her kids, and I'm safe, I'm secure, I have people who love me, respect me, deal with me on the streets like I'm an equal. And she was living under a bridge. But you know,
Right.
I don't want anybody to feel that that's what you need to do. If get some help if you can. Plus tonight it's cold out. I wouldn't want to be living under a bridge.
No,
Uh,
and up here it's a lot worse. It's going to go
yeah,
into sub-zero up here.
it's going to go into sub-zero on you, the top half of the country. I heard.
Yeah.
Uh, it plays here in the morning. The mornings are often 40 or below here, but of course it's Florida, so it warms up in the afternoon, and you're okay. And the weird thing about it is, for the amount of energy we're using at home to stay warm, you'd think our rates would be skyrocketing, and you know they're livable, but are they going to skyrocket at some point? You know,
Right. Right.
it's just
But wouldn't it be wonderful to wake up Christmas Eve and some announcement saying that tomorrow you're going to see in your bank accounts a little something to help you get through the turmoil of everything and your taxes coming up the first of the year and so forth? I mean, people do need that kind of outlook. But then you go back to the first term where the president's wife made a comment to the people about fuck Christmas. You know, and she did it. She really did do this. This is, you can
Yeah,
research it. I actually have a
I know,
recording of her saying this.
I know you can. Yep,
And
yep.
I mean, so here it comes down to how much love we really see from the first lady when she sits with children reading books, but then she turns her narrative and utilized that into the first term of the presidency, where happily she said, and fuck Christmas, deck the halls with that. I mean,
But a lot about her is kind of, you look from the sidelines and people question the Trump marriage
well,
to
she's an
the
impressive
Trump.
model as a mail order
No,
bride. Let me tell you
she
something. They made
she
sure
gave
she was
well, no.
present when he would be there to see her.
Oh yeah, she's there when she's willing to be there, and
No,
I
I'm
want to
saying
believe.
people placed her there.
Okay, but I mean, she is there these days when she wants to be, but you're led to believe that she lives in Trump Tower in New York when the cameras are turned off. And, you know, I'm not going to question mail order bride parts of it because I don't know if I don't know enough about that to question.
Well, I
But,
call it the mail order bride. Okay,
she's
because the
there.
truth is, it's where she came from. Where were her roots? Her roots were related to Maxine
Well,
and Jeffrey
yeah. Well, she came here and made a lot of money doing
as
what
a
she did,
model, and she does quite
as,
an
as a model.
amazing job, and
You
that's what
know,
she's doing. She's modeling
right?
for the United States.
Mhm.
Okay, now
Yeah.
listen to me, Dave, because I don't want people that know
No, no,
me and
no.
whatnot. I
I
was
am
I
with.
was all in on the Trump train. I
Yep.
mean, I was at the microphone forefront every day fighting the battle,
Yep.
and I understand why people feel they were duped, because we know as much on things that we don't want to wish we never learned about,
Right.
that we are finding out
Right.
about in
Right.
some cases. And I'm not saying they're all terrible. I'm
No, they're
just
not.
saying a lot of this could have been put to rest had he concentrated on we the people first as a priority, before him worrying about the dollar signs of a country that would no longer even belong to us.
Well,
And when you question the fact of what belongs to us, what's the first question you should ask yourself? Who was here first?
the Indians,
No, that
the
was being way beyond
Native
the Indians. That's a
Native
hypothetical
Americans,
theory of
Native
conversation.
American.
It's not
Okay.
even a factual theory of
Okay.
conversation. But
Okay.
remember where they all came from: the land over the seas. They were all placed
Land of,
here like everybody else to tie the
yeah.
knots. And they put
The
them in brilliantly and tied all the knots that don't truly help us. They help us. They stand up in court at times, but it depends upon the injustice system versus the justice system.
right. Right.
Everybody has a different illusionary thought of what everything means. And that's exactly the other issue of the problem. If we
Yeah.
all have the rights of freedom of speech and to dress it free will the way we want, or to have our things cut off, that is somebody's right. And for us to tell them that it's not, see, that's the screw up. This is why the left was taking such an evasive side as to what they wanted to see, because they wanted to bring back the way the old biblical world was, where you had all these objectives going on in it. Somehow religion cleaned it up and made things unethical just to enrich people, to power them, to make sure that people thought that something else was better for them. Believe in these books. God wrote this. God didn't write a damn book.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you there? You
Yeah,
still
I'm
there?
here. God,
Okay.
he
Okay.
did not write a book. He didn't do it. And there's many facts that we can look up about a lot of other things, but again, I'm going to keep it clean from the R
Yeah.
factor.
No, no.
Religion is
Well,
another theatrical. But if you go back into the old days of the rich and the famous and the people in the castles and stuff,
yeah.
two of the first coming rules that they had: no political talk at the dinner table and no religion talk at the dinner table, because they knew that was the controversial subject of what was put into place, that it was going to
Yep.
work against everybody in the world.
Yep. But I always wondered about that because my grandmother said no politics at the table unless someone brings it up first. Then It's wide open because that's what everybody wants to talk about. My grandfather, on the other hand, said everyone is entitled to their own opinion, even if it's wrong. And he was a God fearing, card carrying Republican until he passed. I think my grandmother was a Republican, but I never found out.
Well, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people just starting that I've heard from, and I mean, not I'm not saying I heard from all these absorbent numbers of people, but I'm saying I heard from enough that are saying enough about they don't even want to look at whatever's to come in the next term of whoever it is.
Yeah,
But I will say this, we will be led into something, and a lot of the things that were laid out by the left have been taken over by the right and the new alliance within the administration, and they are facilitating every look. If a president was coming in to protect us, the first thing I would have did, if it was me, all those tires would have been taken down. All those
yeah,
5G tires would have been like,
yeah.
relocated for
Well,
a purposeful use in a different way, whether for military or for recyclement. It wouldn't even matter to me. But and when you see everything's continuing to add up in a certain way, and there's a stop sign ahead for it to quit, then you're being narrated into this massive
but
chain event that is going to
right,
occur, and it's going to be a different of a future that we're going to hope to God we are dead not to see it all. And that's just because of the severity of the surveillance and slavery of taxation that's going to kill and cripple our grandchildren.
right. Yeah, I mean, I've said, and I know you have, that our youngest grandchild is 2. When she's 18, I mean, she's going to find out that she owes more than she can ever pay,
Well,
and she
and
should.
they've
And
already put that on. They've already put a lot of that on the children.
yeah,
They really have. I mean, by all the actions that have taken place now, and all the trillions of dollars, wherever they are, plus the trillions are probably not even accounted for. They're unaccounted for that they're not talking about, and all the monies that have been somehow brought through the justice systems backed into pockets, being fed to everybody to keep a different secret society alive within that narrative. It's like when you have to pay a fine, where does that money go? Where do all these taxes go from the
yeah.
lottery? It's $1 billion, but the winner will
Well,
only take home like 460
yeah.
million. How is that even possible? But it is possible. So
Well,
why is it possible? They created it to be part of a partnership. Why is a marriage system part of a licensing? People think, well, I went to church. This is all about the church. It's not about the church. The church just does the ceremony. The ceremony is what these people have always believed
yeah,
in. They believed in everything to be unethical, but have a meaning to it. Like you don't hang a man on a cross that looked like his skin was ripped off his body. If you're a place of the Garden of Eden where everything and anything is possible, beautiful, and everybody has a loving mannerism towards everybody else within humanity and animal and anything else that exists out there. It doesn't work to be, you have a licensing program that then says, take this back to the church. So who is
yeah,
commanding the church here? The licensing
yeah.
sanctions the church to perform this. The church has actually nothing to do with it, except for the little charges they may charge you to hold your venue
A,
there.
a
And
big
they make money.
business,
The
a
state
big
makes money.
business, a big business worth lots of money, and
Exactly. Everything
and
narrates that way.
and
Control.
I'm sure that I would be amazed if I ever got the chance to go into the basement at the Vatican and just see what is there. I mean, you know,
I
they
have no
talk
clue.
they talk about books of the Bible that were written but never went into the Bible. Why? It's just, is the whole thing just an act? I mean, as far as the politicians go, the Republicans and the Democrats, they just stand in front of the cameras and do whatever they think we want to see them do, and then when the lights and cameras go off, they go to the bar and get a drink and shake hands and come back and do it again the next day.
Oh, there's much of that does really happen that people would not believe it.
You know,
I mean, I'm not saying that it's always right out in broad daylight circumstances. And we don't see a lot of pictures because they know how to handle themselves. But
yeah,
there is a dark side of where things, will always be able to happen. That's part of the system as well, But I mean, until we bring more things to light, the only thing I suggest to people is I'm not saying, are there really any good guys? I don't believe there are really any good guys. Everybody is an optimist of a different, whether it's a
no,
political narrative of opposition, whatever, but they are an optimist.
no.
They're politically involved to enhance the system or to run the system
It,
within the means of a narrative that delivers something to happen. And sometimes it looks like mathematically it's all helping us. But that only comes into play when they know that the people are awake. This isn't the first awakening by people, but no one's ever come to save the people either. History
right,
goes back for all these years, and people prayed for this to happen or that to happen, and it just doesn't seem to ever happen. And we go right back to it and we regurgitate the same information all over again. And that now we have a new diaper committee out there that says they know everything. They are the experts, but the truth is they are the copycats
I
of
don't know.
just resuggesting our narratives of opinions that they accumulated because they learned from better people.
Exactly the reason why I do Boogie with the Bull. I learn from the best. And, you know,
I
there's so
don't I
much.
don't know if anybody's really the best, but I do know the people that speak true speak louder and
Yep,
don't care about the consequences of it all. That's
yep,
why I don't care if I ever do a show again on my own. I really don't even care about it, as
mhm,
far as the political venue things that go on, because the revolution of what people have now created are actually corrupting us more of our own dissonance and our own engagements of facts, and they're just tearing it apart, the fabric
yep,
of America even more apart. History's been changed, everything's been changed, religion's been changed, the books have been thrown away, they've been burnt. The potato famine. What I mean, there's so many things that have occurred. It's pathetic. Why do we have representation of an eagle? It had nothing to do with America. We all thought it was about America, but it came from another country. Same with the
okay,
Statue of Liberty. There are two of them. Same with the
yeah,
pyramids. Why are they all over
yeah,
the earth? Look, they're never going to tell us what they truly know, but they control the narratives from archaeological finds all the way up to print or little telephone messages between constituents in Washington that get caught with their pants down somehow. And
yeah,
I'm not saying that as a finger in any direction because it covers all topics and they're all caught within it. Some of the files will talk a lot about it and will reveal a lot about it. But there's also a glee club out there, and I'm calling them a glee club, that made sure a lot of the documentation were utilized before they ever got to the courtrooms, would never make it into the courtrooms. They were that far ahead of all of it. That's why I think Trump was trying to say to everybody, already got this, nothing to see here. And it's coming to be that there is a truth to that, even though he is blended into the faculty of where he says everybody knew this guy. He would
I,
just show up. And it
I,
was like, hey, let's drink, let's be married, let's be friends. And, they come into a party that way. They left the party events that way. However, things we know now that are coming to light will point the fingers and will hurt people. And why bother to even care who gets hurt from it all? Guilty is guilty, and that's how everything should be weighed upon
right,
and should be
right,
chargeable upon as
right,
criminal faculties of events. Same with when we look at the COVID and we look at who was behind there. What was her name? Dr. Bricks, who was one of the
yep,
I know everything, Mr. President, or Fauci. Fauci. That's. But here again, if you create enough commonality scenarios, it seems to be a possibility of factual, probability of events to be a certain way. So, Dave, that's what I think we're up
but
against. They're
in,
so intelligent. They're just so
in some,
goddamn intelligent They're years ahead
In some
of
cases,
knowing the outcomes.
some in some cases, some of them are intelligent. I wake up every morning and wonder if some of them are just well-paid actors. Was Fauci a well-paid actor? Because now it's all coming back to haunt him. That you know, now it's coming back to haunt him. The next thing we're going to read is he's in jail for 27 life terms, which is, I guess, government code for he's in witness protection because we don't need him anymore. We'll bring him up when we need him.
Well,
Uh,
when they're done with you, they have no care to what really happens to you. I mean, look at the American people and the things that we endure, as well as people that are in these positions that are basically, you know, committing these
yeah.
travesties and crimes on humanity. But again, they were paid well, and nobody's going to come to save them at the end of the day. But at the same time, we need to channel the best people that we can with what we have to get to
Yeah.
the bottom of everything, to do the best job we can. Not to
Mm-hmm.
hear something like, if I go down, half of Washington's going with me. Right there was an allegation of criminality. Why did they not investigate her even further? You know, why was she selling uranium to Russia and collecting millions for it? We
Right.
know that so much corruption has killed our own government that we
But
should not trust within them anymore.
people ask. I mean, going back to Trump again, people ask me, and I honestly don't know the answer. Was he really an outsider who became a politician? I mean,
He was
you
always
know,
playing within the fields of everything as silent partners to
you
many
know,
things.
I
The
mean, he
term
was a
silent partner is something that goes back into ancient times where never say my name, only perform the actions I give you.
okay.
So somebody is always the villain, not the actor.
Yeah, I mean, someone said they were preparing him as far back as 1980. They asked him in the 80s if he, when the time was right, would you be president? And he said
Same
yes.
as DJ Vance.
You know, and
Same as DJ Vance. Where did he come from? Think about it. How fast did he get there? What made them choose him? Um,
all I've heard about him really is that he was in the military, and I guess he was a great guy, and he deserves to be president. But I mean, we've heard that before, and we see
yeah,
that before.
I have family that said the same thing because they served with him, but he mysteriously disappeared, went into college, uh, and studied law and became an attorney in 3 years, and in his fourth year was all in Skull and Bones, which is a DARPA CIA operative teaching method of upcomers into political arenas. Like when we see all these people and the bloodlines coming back into play, like in Pennsylvania here, something pretty remarkable just happened that proves the point of this, the prudency of this. Governor Shapiro's daughter is now going to be on the committee in the mayor's office of the city of Pittsburgh. So Shapiro is going to be telling his daughter how to tell O'Connor to run the city and what they want to come into the future and how they want to go about getting it all done. Because this guy is part of the spermanity of the problem that we have. And he works for these dignitaries uh, who are the true, you know, actors of against the world.
If John Fetterman became an independent who leaned Republican, or just finally said, "Yeah, I really am the Republican that you think I am," uh,
Here, you know what? I
would
got to
he?
tell you something
Well,
because you brought up a name.
the
You know,
question
I've been going.
was, the question
No, go
was,
ahead.
if he became a Republican, how many people on that other side of the aisle would follow him into our party, and or do we even want those people in this party?
Well, I will say that I believe he knows enough to know a lot of things, and in many ways, and in a certain criteria of ways, I think they utilized him and influenced him to have a different outcome and perspective of what he could do for them. But
Okay.
I want to say something that might blow your mind, Dave. You know, I
Oh,
was
go.
having a water problem, right?
Yep.
So I talked to the offices of two senators, and Doug
Okay.
Mastriano was one of them.
Yep.
And I gave all the information. This is my case number. This is who was handling it at the Public Utility Commission. This is the water department's information. We're going to make some calls, dig into it. 3 weeks go by, I never hear nothing. And every day I'm giving them just a little bit of information to see if they're going to even respond to me, and they don't.
Yep.
So I talked to a friend. Get this. He says, Mike, do you remember when John was everybody's friend? And I said, yeah, because I had a bar right around the corner from his house. Of course, I know who you're not right around the corner, but in
Okay.
the neighborhood of
Yeah.
where he went.
All right.
And they says, how about I give him a call? And I says, let me know what comes out of it. At this point, I don't even give a shit who helps me because every day is a struggle to keep water from freezing coming into your house, and you're being let down by everything, and fighting public utility and public utility commissions is very, very difficult to do. Anyway, point said now on what I'm about to say to you.
Okay.
Somebody contacted him, and within 1 hour it looked like a village of people outside of my house working. 1 hour after somebody who I didn't vote for picked up the phone to somebody, or somebody in his office picked up the phone to somebody, and all the switches flipped. They were hair marking the ground. They brought this giant machine in to keep my hoses warm that they said they couldn't even help me do. They said that they had no answers. You're going to have to handle it yourself. So, but miraculously, these types of things showed up. Phone calls started to come to me, said you were fully approved. They gave you everything. It's going to cost you nothing. They're going to run it from the street to the hydrant. You're going to have a whole new line after 1 hour.
Yep.
And yet when the people I sat in front of a microphone for and I fought for, that I believed in within our party, were unresponsive to me and did nothing for me. But an outsider from me, who I didn't even vote for and who I condemned, as anybody with having a fragment of a brain, their office made one phone call, and within 1 hour, the whole flip of the switch occurred. And everything that I wanted became a reality.
Is someone wearing a mask as him? Is it a different John than John, the original John? I mean, was he in the hospital the second
I
time?
don't know who's anywhere. All I know is somebody in his office had enough clout to make the phone calls. And I'm not going to speculate on, what we do know the CIA was behind creating. And that was only an objective to protect the president.
Yeah.
That was how they protected a president. So no Lee Harvey Oswald would be in the near future of anybody else, although that doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
But the point is, I did nothing for this guy to deserve his help. Somebody called him and said, I'm going to tell him you're a good dude and you need some help. And then, like I said, within an hour or two, everything was like, boom.
Crazy world we are in. Just a crazy world that we are in.
Well, it's coming to your hour, man. Do your closeout.
Okay. I'm very glad that you came here. And I hope we opened up people's minds. I hope they brought a pad of paper and a pencil, and they wrote down everything. They crossed out what they already have, and they circled everything they need done. And we'll always find a show, and I hope we lead to doing it. But as far as meeting any of them, no. I live in the real world now. I don't, I'd love to sit down with President Trump, but I don't think the opportunity will ever happen. I'd love to sit down with a lot of people. I'd rather sit down with, like I said, real people and have real talk like we did tonight.
And again, the only thing I like to say is I've not ever been against this guy. I did everything I could to show support. I'm just a little bit concerned as to why many important factors have not been addressed yet that needed addressed 2 years ago because of the dilemmas that we went through.
Yeah.
But again, I guess when something's already been laid out, you have to take it from there and pursue it into the future. Sometimes we get left behind on that, and I'm just sick of seeing people being left behind, uh, with support from their own country. There's got to come a time where there's an equal playing field, an equal balance that helps everybody, and no one ever has to starve again or be cold
Hang on
again
just a second.
or deny themselves medication to protect longevity, because we all want something out of this life, because we know this is a realistic fabric of everything that we are within, and we need support there to be able to have that. And when you have none of these things that give it to you, and you have your skies being poisoned, your water's being poisoned, your food's being poisoned, and we only talk about tidbits of everything, but nothing ever comes to within a consequential like enlightenment of something of an outcome that is good. I have concerns. It's been a year, and a lot of us have been left behind through that year.
Yep. And I see them talking about the white fibrous stuff that the embalmers find more and more, and are admitting that they have found it more and more. And we talked about this when they gave you the shot.
Well, again, maybe people need to look into some more of the movie elements of the world, and some of the shows out there like 100,
Yep.
that gives really in depth, which people would think is got to be total conspiracy. Um, and again, I respect them if they do, but I think if you just use the concept of being open minded, you will now, with what we have learned and what you just mentioned, understand, because this was out way before COVID. There's a
Yep.
lot of things. There's a lot of things. And some people say, well, they have to tell you before they do it. Well, they do that in many ways, I guess, because you can find it everywhere, including the left handed handshake. On many shows, they are not allowed to shake hands with the right hand, it has to be done with the left hand. And that is telling you and giving you, actually pay attention to this shit. That will tell you the side of the information where it's from.
So they're okay, but if the guilty side is telling you to watch them, what can you do with it? I mean, big pharma, everybody thought was their friends, and in some cases they're not, or in some cases a simple pill of ivermectin could have protected you, or supposedly a large dose of I think it's vitamin D could,
Yeah, D3.
vitamin D, yeah. If you
Yeah,
take
there are other
if you
objectives
if you
that
take
protect you,
20,
and
yeah,
I
if you take
mean,
20, I think it's 25, 26, 27, 28,000 units of vitamin D, you were supposedly to be safe. And the funny thing about that is that I take it because my physician checked my blood and said it's low and you need to get it. You need to take it. So, you
well,
know,
in life, we all need little enhancements of everything, and when we have such a deterioration in the food chain, you're going to need more supplements as well. So all you can do is try to be healthy, think healthy, play healthy, and be physical to where your body is exercising in ways that are necessary, because sometimes people forget that there's an importance here. But just walking around your house in the middle of winter every day may not be enough. You may actually need to go take that walk down the street and back, and do
yeah,
it once or twice a day.
yep,
Maybe you'll even sleep better from it.
yep. I've heard
But
it's an hour of sunlight a day is what you need. And
well, we don't get sunlight in
like you,
Pittsburgh.
like you just said, you need to go outside, not be caged in, and spend an hour out in whatever's out there.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah, I hear you.
but then again, like you said earlier, you probably don't want to because the chemtrails are there in the sky, and other stuff is up there, and cell towers that you think are cell towers are playing with your brain. I don't know. I I just don't know. But it is an hour. It's an hour and 5 minutes after we started, and I don't know because it's 8:05. If that's too busy for you,
That's my
we
exit,
can
brother.
keep going for a bit. That's your exit.
That's my
Okay.
exit. I don't even
All
like
right.
doing this
Well,
anymore. You know it.
I know you don't. I know you don't.
I
But
can't stand it.
I know you. I know you can't stand it. But people get good information from you, which is why those with good intentions, myself,
My
just
intentions
have to
are
turn to
good.
people that I know.
My
Right.
intentions are good. And they're not to
They
point
are.
fingers at anybody. It's to point fingers at the
No, no, no.
truth that we find.
Right.
And then
And
you
it's my
decide.
job.
Everything is for you to decide. And I hope you get some listeners. I don't know if you had
We
very
got.
many in
I don't
tonight, but
know.
I hope something good comes
No.
out of it for you.
You know, I guess what I'm trying to prove is that I'm doing everything they tell me on Facebook I'm not allowed to do. But they may have won this one. They may have finally won the war because advanced protection requires you to change your password in order to get it. And they sent out that letter again, like they did with two step authentication. You're a high profile account and you need to have this advanced protection. And it was months, maybe even years before two step authentication started to work out right. And advanced protection will probably be the same thing. And you know what? I guess you have to decide when there's enough because when I am that high profile person and I can reach a lot of people, then they know that I'm that person because they came to me and told me, or they're buttering me up to try to give them more control of me on on uh,
Well,
on Facebook anyway.
you know, I had
But
some of the
you know,
best in the world, and all that did was had them
you
take
did.
it away from me. So it doesn't matter really
Yep.
who's on. I think what matters is just try to keep your voice, try to keep your
Uh,
focus of what you believe out there. Don't be afraid to
yep.
challenge conversations. You know, just
Yep.
be who you are. And I'm going to
Yep.
take off. You guys have a great
All
night
right,
and great
Michael.
holidays.
Thank you. All right,
All right,
Michael.
later.
Thank you. All right, Michael Anthony. Who, if you go to the Michael Anthony page on Facebook and you read it, read up the other things that he posts when he has a chance to post, you might actually learn something, or you might find a lot of stuff that you want to question, which is good too. Uh, I want to thank Barbara Emmons popped in for a little bit. Derek Arnold popped in for a bit, and he had sent the link to Derek, and we never got him here. So I promise we'll bring Derek on at another point in time. If you want to get the foundation of the Restoring the Republic discussion, you can watch Friday's night Boogie with the Bull, and you'll get a lot of information there. And you can watch the Boogie with the Bull channel, and some Boogie with the Bulls will make you laugh, and some Boogie with the Bulls will make you cry, and some Boogie with the Bulls might even make you wonder why you bothered watching it all. So we try to entertain everybody. We don't know everything, and a lot of times we make, meaning me and the people that work with me, will make something up fast because that's the nature of the beast. But we try to get you in the right direction, and you're always welcome to watch. Sometimes you're welcome to be on the broadcast if you want to be, like Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Boogie with the Bull Monday morning caffeine comes on, and for a little more than an hour, usually, we just sit and drink coffee and have fun. And everybody gets a chance to talk, everybody gets a chance to say whatever it is they want to say, like Michael had said before, and we try to keep the quote unquote fighting down. Try to do things civilly, and I hope we can. So you'll see those on the Boogie with the Bull channel over on YouTube. It's been there for about 4 years now. We used it to deal with long before Facebook decided they would delete things every 30 days. We used it to make sure we had a place that always had the old Boogie with the Bulls available. So we'll podcast this tonight, send it to a lot of places. We'll send it to Streetlock. We'll send it to Rumble if we can. There's something wrong with my password, and I think I have to change it. And we'll send it to X, and we'll send it anywhere you message me and tell me that I should send it to, preferably those that are free places for us to send it to, because that's the important thing. It's not about money. I don't want your money. You will buy a Boogie with the Bull mug. I got one in a box. I'll send you if you really want it. I haven't even opened it. It looks like this one. The first person that offers $20 for it gets it. It's $15 for the mug, $5 to ship it to you. And like I said, I got one. And other than that, we just don't want your money. We really don't. Like everybody else, we just don't want your money. When we can't afford, and I always say when I can't afford to do this anymore, I just won't do it. That simple. Just won't do it. And when the resistor, capacitor, or whatever you want to call it, in my brain pops, and Donna says the best place for you is in a corner where people don't see anymore, I might just be sitting in front of a laptop thinking that I'm doing a show. We can talk about that later. Anyway, thank you for watching tonight. It was a pleasure to have Michael Anthony on, and people in the chat room, and everybody else. You know me. Just watch it if you get a chance to watch it, and watch it tonight. And we'll talk about it on Monday. And that, I think, is the end of that. So I'm going to go watch some crochet videos with my wife, because I'm learning more and more and more and more and more. I wish I could do it, because these people, including my wife, make fantastic items. You know, I only have one on my desk, but it's still a fantastic item. Cupcake the Eagle. I think we sold Cupcake's partner. We didn't name Cupcake's partner, so I keep Cupcake the Eagle on my desk. And my wife always works on stuff. Tonight she's working on flamingos. So go to the Family Treasures Facebook page and take a look around. Then go to Donna Jean Creations and look around. And then go to Willow's Craft Corner. Excuse me, Willow's Craft Creations. Willow's Craft Creations. That is our daughter-in-law. And they do fantastic stuff. On the 20th, I don't know exactly who will be there. They will be on Park Street in Jacksonville, across the street from Cultivate, taking part in a vendor craft show fair. A lot of good stuff from everybody. So go there and look for your Christmas gifts, which you might not have even bought yet. It's the 13th. That means you have 12 days until Christmas. If you're Jewish, you have 2 days. No, you have 1 day before Hanukkah starts. It starts tomorrow night, the 14th, and it runs through the 22nd. So get yourself ready and done and enjoy it with your family. And that's about all I have to say. I'm going to slide up here and hit this one. We go